last part is meditative inquiry, a psychological approach. And like Pablo said, Ariel Sanat wrote an article many years ago that Pablo read in Argentina and kind of initiated him to look at the secret doctrine and the teachings in this way. So the book, Approaching the Secret Doctrine, is a culmination of his work prompted by Ariel's article. Okay. So Mahatma K.H. tells us that the truths and mysteries of occultism constitute indeed a body of the highest spiritual importance, at once profound and practical for the world at large. Yet it is not as a mere addition to the tangled mass of theory or speculation of the world of science that they are being given to you, but for their practical bearing on the interests of mankind. And all over we can find where various teachers tell us that theosophy must be made practical. And so I think if you look at the older books, there is a lot of practical stuff, but I think where our lack is the skill to look at the teachings and find the practicalities in it. So once again, it's just a skill. It's something that just needs to be practiced. So in our lodges and in our individual study, once we study something or read, at the end of it, what is the takeaway? What is the one thing that you can bring into your life from whatever it is that you just read, or from whatever it is your group was studying from, or from whatever conversation you just had with somebody? That's the communication. And I don't think I put it on here, but those are the 4 things I talked about. Listening with silence, responding from the heart. I should be able to remember my own 4 things, right? Tapping to the substratum. And there was one. Oh, speaking lean. Why are we speaking? Right. So those 4 things we're trying to bring into our individual study, our individual conversations, our group study, and our group communications. Those are the things that make whatever we do practical. It brings the spiritual down to the material. Okay? All right. So this is a diagram that's in the book. I think I put here page 211. And this is where Pablo shows correspondences. He shows correspondences from the cosmos, or the universe, the human constitution, and then particularly the human mind. So what I'm going to focus on here today, get this right, is everything above this line. All right. So I don't think this works very well, but so the highest in the cosmos, the absolute. This is what HPB, these are her writings in the Secret Doctrine. These are her words in each of the shlokas, or stanzas. Yeah, each of the stanzas. And then the human constitution, this is Atman, the highest of the 7 principles in man. In the book, in these chapters of the book, and I have it on the schedule, these chapters of the book, what Pablo does is he paraphrases each stanza so that it applies to the highest subplane of the individual. And then to the mind. This is the first or the highest subplane of the mind. So in meditation, what I'm going to show you this part of the book is there are affirmations based on the psychological interpretation applied to the higher mind. Okay, so I've gone through stanza 1. Stanza 1 is the night of the universe. And then we're going to go through each of the 9 shlokas in stanza 1 and show it and compare it in these 3 ways. So shloka 1 says, the eternal parent, space, wrapped in her ever invisible robes, had slumbered once again for 7 eternities. The paraphrase for the human constitution is there is only a sense of space. And then our affirmation is I am all space, boundless, infinite, and immutable. So the object is try to come from our place in the universe and get our mind to realize who we really are. So Shloka 2 says, time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. Applied to our mind, time is not, there is only timeless duration. And duration is what Blavatsky uses for time. It's kind of when she says, what is that? Conscious.
Absolute abstract time.
Right, absolute abstract time, or she makes those contradicting consciousness or something like that. So this is what this is. It's timeless time is basically what she's saying.
Wait,
Yes.
Is that chronological time? Is that a chronological time? It's not.
No, so duration is beyond chronological time.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so the affirmation is I am timeless, living in eternal now, unchanging, immutable. Okay, so I'm going to go through this a little bit quick, maybe not enough for you to take, but this is all in the book. And if you want, I can send this to Treat so you can have it all, because I did take it from his book and put it all in one place. So Shloka 3 tells us, universal mind was not. That's Mahat, as Pablo mentioned. For there were no Ahi, or celestial beings, to contain, hence to manifest it. Applied to our mind, mind is not, for there is no one to manifest it. So this is before manifestation of the human being. So I am a silent presence beyond thoughts, feelings, and sensations, quiet, posed, stable. Shloka 4. The 7 ways to bliss were not. The great causes of misery were not, for there were no one to produce and get ensnared by them. Paraphrased, the search for bliss and the causes of misery are not, for there is no one to produce and get ensnared by them. The affirmation is, I am beyond the plane of joy and sorrow. I am complete, satisfied. Shloka 5. The eternal parent, wrapped in her ever invisible robes, has slumbered once again for 7 eternities. Paraphrased, darkness alone fills the boundless all. The affirmation, I dwell in the divine darkness. Shloka 6. Time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. Paraphrased, all is immersed in absolute non-being, naught is. And then the affirmation, I rest in inherent, spontaneous perfection, unmade effortlessness. Shloka 7. He causes, it's supposed to be the causes of existence had been done away with. The visible that was and the invisible that is rested in eternal non-being, the one being. The paraphrase, there is only a sense of space. The affirmation, he causes a separate existence. The causes of separate existence are done away with. There is rest in eternal non-being, the one being. Shloka 8. Alone, the one form of existence, stretched boundless, infinite, causeless, in dreamless sleep. And life pulsated, unconscious in universal space, throughout all presence, which is sensed by the open eye of the Dhamma. The paraphrase, time is not, there is only timeless duration. The affirmation is, I am beyond all cognition. Shloka 9. But there was the Dhamma when the alaya of the universe, soul as the basis of all, was in Paramartha, the absolute being and consciousness, which are absolute non-being and non-consciousness, and the great wheel was Anupadaka. The paraphrase? That can't be right. Give me the book.
Yeah, I don't have it here, but go to the affirmation.
Okay, time is not, there is only timeless duration. Sorry, I don't know what happened here. I am absolute beingness. So when I read through this, even just now, it has a calming influence on my mind to know that I am beyond this irritation, the irritation, that's all I can think of right now. But I am who I really am, not Michelle. Michelle right now is irritated, frazzled. Yeah. But who I really am is beyond that. So if I can do these affirmations and I can sit in that each day, then that really will make a difference in changing my mind, because right now my mind says, see, I'm always agitated. I'm always frustrated. Someone is always bothering me. But that's not that's Michelle. That's this personality at this point in time, but it's not who I really am. So the music is lovely behind us now, so if you want to...
The angels singing.
Yes, the angels are singing for us. So I'm going to read these through a little slower and try to have a meditative state of mind and try to let that sink in. And I think what I'm going to do is, for me, I'm going to go home and record this. And it's something that I can play each night before I go to bed or each morning when I wake up. And also with the paraphrasing that Pablo does in chapters, I believe it's 18 through 20. The paraphrasing is a wonderful thing to listen to record. Read it, record it, and then listen to it. The other practice that you can do, especially with this last one that I have here that had a lot of words that we're not used to, is to go by it piece by piece. And really not just read it through and say, oh, okay, the basis is I am absolute beingness. But once you understand that the affirmation, I am absolute beingness, and you get the correct verse in there, then you can go back and read the shloka step by step, word by word, and try to really, even if you get nowhere, that's the practice, that's the meditation, is to get to that place where, oh, okay, I understand, but there was something. Okay, even if I don't know what Dhamma is, there was something. So, and then to look at it in the bigger context of what the first stanza is trying to tell us. Okay, before, this is like Pablo said, before there was anything, there was this first stanza. Okay, so here we go. Take a deep breath.
This is a big test for everyone.
Yes, okay. All right. I am all space, boundless, infinite, omnipresent. I am timeless, living in eternal now, unchanging, immutable. I am a silent presence beyond thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Quiet, poised, stable. I am beyond the plane of joy and sorrow. I am complete, satisfied. I dwell in the divine darkness. I rest in inherent, spontaneous perfection, unmade, effortless. I abide in just being, impersonal, universal. I am beyond all cognition. I am absolute Venus. And I'll go ahead and read them one more time. I am all space, boundless, infinite, omnipresent. I am timeless, living in eternal now, unchanging, immutable. I am a silent presence, beyond thoughts, feelings, and sensations. Quiet, poised, stable. I am beyond the plane of joy and sorrow. I am complete, satisfied. I dwell in the divine darkness. I rest in inherent, spontaneous perfection, unmade, effortless. I abide in just being, impersonal, universal. I am beyond all cognition. I am absolute beingness. Okay. Yes, this is a very important lesson for me right now, at least. Two things. Even in the ear I can't hear, I am listening to every word they say. But what it is, what it made me think of is, I don't know if you heard what they were saying, and I can't. But God is good. Jesus does this for you. This is, this is what this is. This is what the secret doctrine is saying. We're just not shouting it. Every Sunday we're not meeting together and saying, I am all space. I am timeless. I am the silent presence. That's what the churches do. So why don't we start doing that with ourselves in our confined, not interrupting other people's study or sacred space? But this is what I don't think we do. And if you're told every week that there is, that there is someone or something there that's looking out or to look in within you, wouldn't you believe that? I mean, I started believing it when I heard that. I was like, man, maybe I should go sit over there. Because one of the things that I'm trying to do is worry less, have less anxiety, worry less about other people. One of the things when I first started doing, I told you I worked at the Ojai Foundation, and we started doing this different way of communication. One of the really important things that was like, the angels came down to speak to me on, was when they said, when we meet, one of the first states of mind that we should have for each other is, you are whole, you are resourceful, you are self-reliant. If you need something, you will ask for it. Then my state of mind can step back and go, oh, I just have to listen to you then. I don't have to try to fix you. I don't have to try and give you advice. I don't have to worry about you. I don't have to feel sad about you. How liberating would that be if we walked into conversations that way? And I usually don't share this much because I usually think my brain is just weird and it's different, but somebody shared with me that most of our brains work this way, and so I thought that might be helpful. If I thought that, because I was really working on that last night, I was like, what in the teachings can help me with anxiety and worry? And it's these affirmations. It's reminding myself. It's what Hodson said in that quote. We need to trust, and we need to consistently work on these things daily. So can we find something? Now, I will brag, and I very rarely brag on Pablo like this, but this book has so much in it that you can take and keep your mind focused on these higher ideals. Not to forget our worries, but to realize that these worries aren't our intrinsic nature. That if we can get back to our intrinsic nature, we can get back to a sense of peace, a sense of calmness, a sense of spaciousness, where can I not only handle anything that comes at me, but that the universe is there to help hold me up. And then I can be resourceful. I can be self-reliant. I can feel confident to ask for help when needed. Not that I should be doing this myself. I should be able to take care of this. So that's what I got out of this session this morning. Yeah, I tend to move really fast, and I realized I raced through these. So over here first.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you. I just thought that was great the way you were speaking it, and I had an experience that I've read about, but it was like I was in the stage of hearing you, and I was totally relaxed and totally in that spirit and hearing them, but separate. They weren't part of it. And it was like, well, this is what they talk about. It's outside of me. I don't need a Ferrari. But if
I would like a Ferrari.
but it was very good. It was like I could stay maintained here. That was happening over there, and that was okay. But I could still be, and I think it was the words, and just the ideas that kind of kept me over there. So I wanted to thank you for that because it was very powerful.
Doss has a
Yeah,
question.
I was going to say the same thing, sir. I was going to ask you if you paid those people to do that. Because it's exactly the way our mind is, You have all this noise and you carry on, and at the same time you kept saying these words,
Oh, thank you.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I know.
I didn't pay them. I didn't pay them. Yes. But
Clever of you to arrange that.
yes. Okay, I did arrange that. No, but whenever I say I have weird karma, people always look at me. Oh no, you have to think positively. But this is the kind of stuff that happens all the time. All the time when I'm trying to be eloquent and graceful and yeah. So yeah.
Thank you, Michelle, for that. It orchestrated perfectly. And we have said things happen not to you but for you.
Right.
What was I going to say? But whatever and how you brought the psychology behind it. So it's just not this noise. When we go home, there's so much noise because I live in a place I'm by myself, but then there's noise. We could the news is noise, the environment, the people. There's so much noise,
Right.
But how we train our mind to how do we cut off and go back to that true intrinsic self. So it's a great lesson.
Right. That's one of Patanjali's things, pratyahara, where we just kind of close things off. So we're right here. There's all this going on out here, but we're right here. This is where our focus is. This is where our ring past knot is, and right here is where our point is.
Even though the rest exists,
Right.
but you let it be, as you all said.
Because we can't do anything.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that. Right.
But only what's in you.
Can in this
Wait, what? Yeah, go ahead and wait for the microphone.
in this state or this place or this landscape, I'd like your comment on what we are inviting by entering into this space.
So I look at it in terms of, and if you look at it from the symbols, the images of which are in the book, the images of the manifestation of the universe. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create that ring past knot. We're trying to create a container from which we can find peace, or we can find silence, and we can find, I don't want to say that darkness, but it's basically what we're trying to do. What'd you say? Divine. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take what we do in meditation. We sit in meditation. We create the space from which we find calmness. That's our first start. Or in the theosophical meditation, what we're supposed to do is create the space or the container, the ring past knot for first for concentration. Then from that concentration, we go into meditation, which is the calming, The concentration is the focusing. I'm here, I'm building a container where I can be here right now. Then we're meditating, we're starting to calm, we're starting to build a bridge in order that we can experience or we can touch the divine darkness, which is contemplation.
Or it can touch us.
Correct. So we do our work and then the grace. Okay, over here first.
So, in addition to that, I mean, one of the meditations I do, going to that space, is letting go of all of our identity. We identify as a gender, as a race or color or whatever. As you go into the space of void, you are letting go of all that identity, and you are just now going into pure consciousness. You're just energy.
So you're receptive which you could not hear or see or feel.
You're letting go of all beliefs you hold on to, and being aware, what are the strong beliefs I'm holding on to? If you let go of all of that, all your worries, your anxieties, like letting go, imagine you're holding a big backpack full of stones, carrying it on your back, whatever that may be, your worries and your concerns, and you're giving yourself permission to put that back down.
Well, I can't hear.
You don't have to hear. Yeah.
I can't hear if there's something being said, if I am disturbed or burdened by noise or weight or whatever. So giving yourself access to that which may be through this is a gift to yourself.
Right.
So giving yourself that gift, and how we deprive ourselves when we are attached.
Truly.
So it's a detachment.
Right. So what we're doing here is, we know how important meditation is. We've all heard how important meditation, is to our practice. What this is, and what Pablo's work is through the secret doctrine, is to get you in your study to get to that meditative state. My part here was in your communication, in your dialogue, to stay in that meditative state. So we're creating containers. We have our container or our space on the mat when we're sitting, or on the chair when we're sitting. We have that container or space when we study. Okay, we know now how to study to make it more meditative, to actually change our way of thinking. And then I brought in the part with our dialogue, with meditative inquiry, to change our conversation or our lodge meetings to do that. So we're taking from the mat that state of silent darkness and trying to bring it into the rest of our day. I had something else, but go ahead.
What this brought to my mind was the Buddha's statement that everything is emptiness. But when you meditate on just the concept of emptiness, you start forming visual pictures which keep you down in your active mind. With this, it's opening the door to what Buddha talks about when you take away everything. There's emptiness. It's the ladder going into that emptiness.
Right. And I would just say Theosophy says it's emptiness and it's completeness at the same time. So it's one of those dichotomies or paradoxes. One of those paradoxes. Okay, gone again. Does anybody else have a comment?
I was just going to add just a suggestion, or not for you though, but so the first two verses, Jeffrey Hodson on the Theosophical Audio Library has a meditation that is 9 minutes long. That is one where he goes, I am boundless. It's
Right.
just great.
It is a wonderful meditation.
And it's 9 minutes. I do it every morning because it's like, okay. And so, but it's basically the first two, and just he puts a lot of oomph in there. But
Right.
it makes you feel like, okay, I'm balanced.
Right.
And so it's a great meditation if you want to look it up. It says it's a group meditation. But
So Ernest Wood wrote a book, Concentration, for meditation, which is the first step to meditation, which I would say, I think that if we really think about it, we're not as good concentrators as we think we are. And it's the step, what is that effort that you have to do, because you can't force yourself to these higher states of consciousness, but you can do the work and then open yourself up, create the space where these higher consciousness will come down and grace. Okay.
What helps me is just not saying it, but when I say I'm boundless, and then to sit with that and to feel it, not just say it,
Right.
but to experience it and just sink into that feeling of boundless. What does it feel like? Because only when we feel it and experience it, then it feels real than just repeating it.
Yes, and while I was reading this, although my bodies were agitated because of the external part, and what I call it is it falls into the gaps. It falls into those spaces, those little spaces in between the irritation, and it did seep through. I know I felt, the first time I read it, I don't even remember, I felt like I just ran right through it. And then it was like towards the end, I was like, okay, I can slow down now. And then, it just sinks in.
Yes, the idea with all these affirmations, just saying them, as you said, is not doesn't do much. The idea is to try to reproduce those states in our own consciousness. And that's the occult method. Blavatsky would say you start with imagination, in the sense that you use your mind to try to reproduce those states, and then you end up in realization of those states as real states in you.
And just to start with, I know for me, just starting this to read it is the place I have to start. Just reading it over and over, and then taking time to go back and let it sink in, and then taking time to go back and meditate for it. I would not be able to sit down and meditate on this until I read it over for a few days. So there are all different ways, and that's the beauty of Theosophy and the Theosophical Society, is that there's no one way to do it. When you were saying that you read this and you let it filter in and you feel it, which is really good, but I really saw value in these people yelling and singing and dancing. Well, not yelling, speaking loud, singing and dancing as a way to also think about getting this stuff in. There's a couple rituals that I do that I have motions to, because those motions help me sink it in while I'm doing this. I'm bringing it. I am all space. That's good for my body to feel that, the whole thing. So there is some value into, not just using our eyes, using our other senses there. So then, thank you. Are there any, I didn't mean to cut that off. I thought it said, does anybody else have any other takeaways, comments, or questions?
Thank you.
Okay.